This episode is proudly supported by Anchor Food Professionals. Whether you're a caterer, cafe operator, or chef running a commercial kitchen, everyone knows quality products are the foundation of successful dishes. Anchor Food Professionals is a trusted supplier to the hospitality industry and has built a stellar reputation thanks to their consistently excellent butter, cream, and cheese. As the food service business of Fonterra, Anchor Food Professionals is home to many well-known brands such as Perfect Italiano, Mainland, Western Star, and Bega, and is now an important part of the Australian food service sector. Anchor Food Professionals has a history of innovation and expertise in sustainable dairying that delivers a world-class product portfolio. If quality cheese, cream, and butter are important to your creations, head to anchorfp.com.au to explore the range.
Hey there, it's Dani Valent with you for one of my occasional solo episodes called Friday on My Mind. Yep, we put these out on the occasional Friday when I just have a lot to say. Let's see if that's true. I want to talk about a few trips that I've been on recently. I've been so fortunate to do 3 overseas trips in the past 6 weeks or so. A couple of them were for work and one was mostly fun, but let's face it, they were all very enjoyable. So let's track back to the first one, which was in Hong Kong and China as the guest of Lee Kum Kee, the sauce manufacturer. Was wined and dined by them in Hong Kong and in China, where the company was founded, and it was really fascinating. Hong Kong is one of my favourite food cities anywhere in the world, but I hadn't been there since 2019. There have been a lot of changes politically as China tightens its grip on the autonomous territory. It was really interesting to feel the energy on the streets and in the restaurants, to go to the markets and be entranced by all the food on offer, and then to enjoy it in different restaurants. For the Lee Kum Kee part of the trip over in Guangzhou in southern China, we based ourselves around a city called Foshan, and it was so interesting to wander around there. One of the most notable things wasn't even food related, it was a sound thing. The advance of the electrification of transport in China was really quite striking. The streets were very quiet. I'm used to busy Asian cities with the sound of scooters and cars, but everything, almost all the transport was electrified. So it was quite hushed on the streets, even though they were busy. That was really fascinating. Of course, we have so much great Chinese food in Australia, and I was able to draw a direct line between some rice rolls, which I saw at a market in Foshan, a busy little stall where they were making rice rolls, steamed rice rolls on trays, and then rolling them with ingredients like roasted pork. And then to be excited about the opening in Melbourne of a rice roll place showcasing that exact food. So Lee in Rice Rolls, which has opened in Healy's Lane in Melbourne and was the subject of one of my recent Sunday reviews, is very proudly highlighting the traditional art of making rice rolls. They grind their rice fresh every morning and they brush it onto cloths to briefly steam it before rolling it with ingredients like prawns and pork and chicken and seafood. Maybe not chicken, actually. Was it chicken? Definitely pork and prawns. They also do congee and rice noodles with that same beautiful rice. I love the passion and the painstaking intention as this traditional food is presented to an Australian audience. So if you haven't had a chance to check out Lee and Rice Rolls, it's really great. The rice rolls are you might have eaten rice rolls at Yum Cha restaurants. They're certainly a staple also in Vietnamese restaurants. But what I love about this is that it's also fresh, made to order, very squidgy, soft, chewy, but also slippery. Highly recommended. So that was a good trip. Came back for a couple of weeks and then went off on a trip for Gourmet Traveller to New Zealand to hop on a cruise on a luxury yacht called Scenic Eclipse 2. This is one of those experiences where, yeah, you're working, but it's pretty fun. I'd never been on a cruise before, and I was really skeptical about what the food experience was going to be like. But on this yacht, which had only 200 passengers, there were a lot of really quite bespoke and thoughtful and creative and delicious small restaurant experiences. So an 8-seat sushi bar, an 8-seat night market, showcasing this kind of fine dining spins on street food, a 40-seat French restaurant and a 10-seat chef's table where they really went to town with theatrical dishes, matched wines from all around the world. It really, I was really taken in by the professionalism, by the creativity, and just the fact that these were small-scale experiences. It wasn't my impression of, I guess, mass market buffet dining on cruise ships where everyone might end up with a transmissible virus. But anyway, there was none of that. It was really, really good. At either end of the trip, we went to Queenstown and Dunedin. So Queenstown, I was researching bars very assiduously for a story for Luxury Escapes. So look out for that one coming up sometime soon. Queenstown, I was really struck by how beautiful it is. Just 3 hours flight from Melbourne and even shorter from Sydney. And it's just so different. Flying in over the New Zealand mountains was really striking, and I suppose really set it up as a place that is quite accessible but completely different. Queenstown is so beautiful, set on a lake. It's got a really thriving outdoorsy activity scene, but really good food as well. So, yeah, I really enjoyed that. One of the most striking things about eating in New Zealand was the use of game. Having recently been chatting to Jo Barrett about her Wild Pie company and just thinking about how Australia is the regulations around using wild game make it so difficult for people to use it. At the same time, animals such as deer and horses and pigs create such great environmental damage to natural landscapes, or, native landscapes and vegetation, and they also hamper bushfire recovery. So there's lots of reasons to be thinking about other ways of reducing population numbers than just culling and leaving animals to rot on the ground. It sounds like I'm suggesting we should eat wild brumbies, which is probably a bit too controversial. But I actually do think we should be. But maybe that's a topic for another day. At the other end of the trip was Dunedin. So if you've been listening to recent episodes, you might have caught my chat with Jack Bradbury, who's a chef at Ebb Dunedin. Dunedin's a busy university town during season, but we struck it just after the students had gone home or retreated, and it was pretty sleepy but pretty great. If you follow me on Instagram, check out my highlights where I focus on a really cool fish and chip cafe called Best. So anyone that's Googling Best Cafe Dunedin finds this cafe that's been around for about 100 years serving local seafood. It's a classic place. Just loved the vinyl tablecloths, the promise of oysters when they're in season, which they weren't, but that's a good reason to go back to the south island of New Zealand. It was, a really charming and delightful place. Also, if just thinking back to the cruise, if you're catching up with recent Dirty Linen episodes, you might have caught my chat with Strawberry Beeson, who is chef de cuisine on Scenic Eclipse 2, and she is an absolute gun. So it was really great to chat to her about her opportunity to showcase some of the Filipino food that she's grown up with in a luxury cruise setting. Really cool. Oh my goodness, that wasn't even the end of my travels. I've been so lucky. Went on a family trip to Tokyo, which was mostly a holiday, but had to do a little bit of food research, of course. I've what I love about Tokyo probably the most is the design of the spaces. Like, it is such a busy city, but once you get off the main drags, it only takes, 5 minutes walk and a couple of turns and you are in a very quiet neighborhood. It really is a city of neighborhoods, as well as being an amazing city of commerce and food. It's pretty walkable within a neighborhood, and there's just so many surprises. I guess it's famous for being a vertical city, but even in low-rise areas, there's lots of restaurants in basements or in the first floor of an apartment building, and a lot of retail as well. It's just so much fun to walk around. I have to say, as much as I adore eating in Tokyo, it did make me reflect that we do have pretty good Japanese cuisine in Australia these days, including some of the restaurants that I would think of as more typically Japanese that are focusing on just one thing. And yeah, Australian produce is so good. There's a lot of people, Japanese people or people with Japanese heritage here, as well as a lot of Korean chefs that are doing really interesting Japanese food. I guess I'm thinking particularly of sushi when I say that. So obviously it's great to go to Tokyo, but there was some restaurants where I was thinking, I've eaten food this good in Melbourne and Sydney. So if you don't have a trip to Tokyo or Japan planned in the near future, you can still get your fix locally. All right, home. I am actually so happy to be home and looking forward to a local summer. I want to tell you about something that I'm doing that I would love you to join me on. I'm leading some food discovery tours in Clayton. So I guess this is on the back of an Eat Street series that I've done this year for The Age Good Food, where I've explored suburban neighbourhoods and showcased some of the incredible, diverse, inexpensive, wholly wonderful, thriving, exciting, just all around great eateries in some neighbourhoods. The first one that I put out was Clayton, and I'm working with the Clayton Traders Association to lead some very small food tours on Clayton Road during the period around Lunar New Year, so the second half of Jan. I have put a link to these food tours in my Instagram bio, so please check them out. Otherwise, just search Dani Valent Clayton Food Tour, and I reckon you'll find it. There's a maximum of 8 people on each of these tours. We are going to eat ourselves silly walking up and down Clayton Road, in and out of restaurants, having small tastes in about 6 places. And yeah, I would love you to come with me to eat some kebabs, eat some laksa, maybe some roast duck, some Korean bingsu. It's going to be really fun. It's a really vibrant neighbourhood, and I would love to walk it with you. So yeah, join me on my Lunar New Year Clayton Road food discovery tours. Now, you may know that we are leading up to Christmas. It's hard to avoid. Certainly in Tokyo, they are mad about Christmas. Every shopping area had street lights and Christmas trees and decorations, and the department stores were full of Christmas decorations. It made me feel a little bit grinchy walking around and not feeling quite as infused with the Christmas spirit. But here we are back home. Yep. Kids have put up the tree and I'm into it. Christmas coincides with Hanukkah this year, which is the Jewish festival of lights. My family background is Jewish, so I'm going to be, we do Christmas, but I'll be doing some Hanukkah food for the Christmas table. That means fried food such as latkes and donuts. Jews are celebrating the miracle of a lamp burning for 8 days, even though there was only enough oil for it to burn for one. So a candle is lit each day of this 8-day festival, and fried foods, also celebrating oil, are part of the tradition. In the US, brisket has also become a really traditional Hanukkah food. So I don't know, it's sort of in the back of my mind to do brisket, but I think I'll do it for New Year's Eve, which is what I did last year. And brisket in rolls on the deck was a really nice way to bring in 2024. I can't believe we're about to say goodbye to 2024. What a year. So Dirty Linen is going to keep going through summer. We are running a summer series, which will be just, I guess, mostly shorter chats with people. And we're asking everybody to talk about a time that they realised food was really important to them. I reckon, it's just a way to frame a conversation, to stop, to pause, to think back, and to, I suppose, remember why we are all in this. We have to eat to live, but it's so much more for everyone, I reckon, that listens to this podcast. This podcast is called Friday on My Mind, so I have to say that something else that is really big in my mind at the moment is small farmers and the issues that they're facing. While I was away in Japan, the news came through that Hardwick's abattoir in Clayton is going to stop processing small batch animals, which affects so many small farmers, the kinds of farmers that you see at suburban markets and in great restaurants, people who are, for the most part, farming regeneratively, certainly thoughtfully, often using rare breed animals and growing them slowly and producing beautiful meat. It's just one example of the way the abattoir industry is broken and is not serving small farmers, which means it's not really serving the community. So I haven't had as much time as I want to devote to this issue, but I do plan in the new year to focus on small farmers, the issues they're facing, why we should celebrate them, and what perhaps can be done in a regulatory sense to support the super important work that they do. Along the way, I'm doing a series on Dirty Linen called Journey to Barragunda, which is around the what Simone Watts is doing at Barragunda on the Mornington Peninsula. She's also farming there and is really, is someone who I'm already having these kinds of conversations with. So keep up with that. We'll keep that going through summer. Also commend you to listen back to my chat with Annie Smithers, who is a very small farmer who is also dealing with regulatory what could you say, obfuscation, ill fit for purpose when it comes to the water rules, which make it very hard for her to do what she does in such a beautiful way. So, as well as tinsel and ham and cricket and beaches, these are some of the things on my mind. I'm not saying goodbye or anything. I'm just going to be with you over summer, but just wanted to let you know what was on my mind this Friday. Please check out the Clayton food tours. Would love to get those sold out before Christmas. They would make a fantastic present. $85 to hang out with me for a few hours eating. Yeah, I reckon that's a pretty good deal. All right. Hope everybody is good. Eat well. Hope kindness meets you on the journey. Talk soon. This is Dirty Linen, and I'm Dani Valent. We air the issues that the hospitality industry finds hard to talk about, hearing from different people with unique perspectives. We want to hear from you as well. If you have something that needs to be said about a topic, get in touch so we can include your perspective. Contact us at dirtyLinen@deepintheweeds.com.au or hit us up on Insta at Dirty Linen Podcast. We can't wait to hear from you.